Monday night.
Got our chairs situated. And now we're live. Almost everywhere.
There
we go. Now we're there. Well, welcome everybody to Monday Night Live.
Yeah, the best night of the week.
Oh, it's so good to see you and to join you tonight. I know I guess the platform says, hang on, we're looking for people to notify them you're going. So
everyone, we're going
Instagram
live.
Instagram and Facebook is reaching out to you right now to let you know we're going live. So that's cool. Thanks. But we are excited to be with you tonight. And as always, I'm Dean Nixon. This is lovely Kate Simmons.
Hi, everybody.
Out of sunny St. George, Utah, and with TurningLeaf Health and Wellness. And we are always coming at you with current life coaching topics, things that we're seeing every day on the couch, everything that we're dealing with. And this week, our topic is no different than that.
Yes.
It was so interesting. I was at a gathering recently, and some friends of ours are leaving town. So if you're watching, we're going to miss you guys. We were at the gathering, and it was just fun to hear their feedback about Monday Night Live.
Oh, really?
And to hear their feelings about it and how much they enjoy it and how much they get out of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And always very complimented of you, which is awesome.
Oh, well, you guys know that. We love you all so much. And whomever these people are that are going off on their next phase of their journey, we wish you nothing but love and luck.
Drive safe.
Drive safe. But every single one of you, we're so grateful for you for showing up every week and just sharing and liking our videos. Really, we love to call it share the love, right?
Yep.
Get it out there so that we can help those who need it the most as well.
Yeah.
And our topic tonight, we're just going to dive in because I feel like we're going to take the full 20 minutes on this.
It's going to be a good one today. Yeah.
The topic that we really want to have a conversation about and to bring forward to you and help you navigate it in your world as well is something that I just finished telling Dean, like, man, I've just felt this hum all day today, all day. And then you divulged how you didn't sleep well and you woke up and just have been kind of emotional today with the roller coaster of the energy in the world, right?
Global energy.
Yeah.
I know some people may roll their eyes as they hear that. That's okay.
Because it's real.
It's a reality.
It's a real thing.
We feel that in our work. And when you deal with people every day, you can't help but pick up those energies.
Yes, absolutely. And we've had lots of lives where we've talked about being able to be how we're all energetic and emotional beings, right? You walk in a room and you feel it. And right now our whole world feels like it's just, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of worry. It's hummy with that. That's how I like to I just feel like this buzz going on. And that is really, really difficult to navigate.
Right.
I would say it's probably one of the more difficult spaces that we do navigate emotionally.
Yes.
Like we know that grief is a difficult one to navigate emotionally, that the loss of a loved one, right, in grief, right? And anger can be a difficult one to navigate emotionally, but fear and anxiety is really, really difficult to walk with, especially, ladies and gents, when it's so everywhere, right? Like it's not just you, like you're having your own emotional experience, but it's very, very connective at the moment, which amplifies it. I think it just heightens it for us. And I feel like it's coming at us from many different places at the moment, right? And we kind of talked about this last week with going back to school. I feel like there's another space, right? But around our world right now, we've got some upheaval, some unrest going on the other side of the world. It's really can be very, very scary, right? Mama Kate, hi girl. That comment just threw me off of my list of all the things that could be causing fear and anxiety.
Right. So we've got stuff going on over in the Middle East. We've got COVID kind of spiking a little bit. We've got some of these things coming back.
Yes. Your point is. Yes, absolutely. And so I find that it's pretty significant in times like this, if you're like Dean and I, and you're feeling it globally, right? And if you're just managing it in your own spirit, in your own life, to realize all the different areas that are bringing in the many feelings and the many pressures and the many anxieties and worries and fear. It is fear that's running rampant right now.
Right. And and that really kind of leads into where we wanted to go with it as we were preparing for today's live. We really want to talk about coming together more and working to come together with more understanding one another. I think that's where we're really struggling right now in our world is we start to feel the fear, we start to feel the anxiety, and then we start to feel alone. And we start to kind of look at how we're different from everybody else. We start to feel different, et cetera, when in the reality, we need to start coming together. So we kind of deemed it the kind of like the 5 fingers of divisiveness right now. There's like 5 essential main pieces going on in our world that are really creating a divisiveness. In other words, something that divides us from one another because our views are excuse me, so diverse. And that's the part I think we've got to recognize is that diversity and having diverse views and having difference of opinions is healthy and it's important. It's how we express our views and what we do with our views that can become unhealthy. So I can have a different view than you, and I can be expressing it in an unhealthy way. I can do it in a way that might be violent towards another person or oppressive or dismissive or negligent of other human beings in a very unhealthy way. Or I can say, hey, I feel differently, I see differently than you do. Help me understand you. Let's try and bridge the gap. Let's try and find solutions. And so as we were kind of going through these things, we know that COVID right now is a very divisive topic. And it's so intriguing to me as I talk to everybody every day as I'm visiting, I'm meeting with over 30 people a week. And as I'm listening to each of these individuals and processing with each of them, it weighs on everybody's hearts. And the funny part about it is, as you and I, our role is to always stay neutral. So we're in a neutral position on all of these things. We're here to just try and bridge the gap and bring people together. So as we listen, I know for myself, I hear both arguments. And I can see both sides of the coin. The other one is racism. As another finger, and the disparity and the difference between the views of racism and the different takes of racism and the way that affects people differently has been another one that has really impacted us. And again, I hear it every day. You hear it every day. And again, we sitting in that neutral position are listening to both sides of the coin. People that, and the one thing about racism that I do hear a lot is the common theme is nobody's good with it. Nobody's good with it. The only difference is how they view it is different. That's what's so intriguing to me. Is nobody's good with it. Everybody wants it to go away, and everybody's kind of frustrated about it, but their views of it are different, and so we're not listening to each other because of it. The other one is very much in sexism, and how we get so caught up in the difference of gender. And gender roles and the different views and opinions of that, and how we want so desperately to solve this problem too. But again, our views are different. And as a result of that, we're not hearing each other and we're not helping each other. The next one that we talked about is economic differences, the difference in status, financial status, and the differences that are going on, globally. And how we still have poverty and the different views that I hear people really get caught up in. And the fifth one is
this
social media. We've been talking about so much. And the different views of social media, which has been really intriguing to me because of the way that people view each other on social media, and how a lot of times social media really perpetuates the idea of there has to be a perpetrator and there has to be a victim. And how on social media everybody's working so hard to not be the perpetrator that they're actually trying to be seen as a victim and create themselves as victims in order to create empathy, followers, views, etc. And so, again, it's a different view. It's a view that we're creating that isn't true. So a lot of people are just either participating in the social media issue, or they're watching the social media issue, but we're not dealing with the social media issue.
Right. I think particularly with that social media platform, it really spreads itself into all the other different fingers, right? Of the divisiveness. What did we decide? Yeah. And it just adds fuel to all of the fire without trying to come to any sort of solution about it, right? Like it just feeds that flame. So one thing, so you guys know we're big fans of like analogies and metaphors and stuff. And while you were going over it for everybody out there, I just was really like impacted with the fact that when things are divisive, they really grab a hold of us and split us. Right. Like the hands, right? So like anything that's going to pull you apart from the ones that you love, from people that matter, from everyone matters, obviously, but in your world, right? Like your people that are going to pull us apart from one another, then we really need to start taking a serious look at it and seeing what the agenda is and where the fear is coming from. Because we're bringing all this back around to fear, but I loved that, like it would just grab with both those hands and pull it apart.
Right. And I get concerned about this because a lot of times our views and our stances are personal. And that's okay. It's our views and our stance. When your view and your stance becomes unhealthy, and this is the part I'm hoping all of you are listening to, when your view or stance becomes unhealthy is when it eliminates your ability to listen and hear. And that's the part we got to really fix. Is I love Stephen Covey's idea of seek first to understand,
yes.
then to be understood. We're kind of living in a world right now where everybody wants to be understood first, and they want everybody to understand them. And so what happens is we get into these screaming matches, metaphorically and literally, where people are screaming out their message and they're yelling out their message because they want to be heard. When in reality, the best way that I can ever be heard, the best thing, and this is what we do. We listen all day. And because we listen, people want to hear what we have to say. So the best way to be heard is to listen and to understand where that person's coming from so that you can then understand how to express or explain to them from their stance and their point of view, your stance and your point of view. And this is the most powerful thing. This is what we need to be doing back in Washington.
Yes.
This is what we're not doing in Washington.
Everywhere.
It's so frustrating to me that we're so committed to disparaging each other and to throwing mud and to blaming and to finger pointing that we're not listening. We're not looking for solutions. We're making people the problem instead of the problem's the problem.
Yes.
And because we're making people the problem back east in Washington and in Congress and in these areas, because we're making people the problem, we're not solving problems.
Right.
Until we really get to the point where we start listening to what the problem is and start hearing people, then we start solving problems. But right now we're trying to solve people. And that's what's happening. And we have to stop. We have to stop because these five fingers are reaching into our lives and ripping our families apart. I see people coming in, children, parents, grandchildren, grandparents, husbands, wives, family members, siblings, and they're just struggling because these things are tearing them apart. They won't even communicate with one another because of their views. And they're not listening to see, how do I bridge the gap? They're listening to wait until you're done talking so I can make my point.
Right.
And that's where we're in trouble.
Absolutely. And I'm was just completely overwhelmed with how similar this is to when we objectify each other, right? And this is like one of those words that gets kind of buzzwordy, right? Like, oh, you're objectifying me. You're just making me an object. But anytime that we're going at it in this divisive way, instead of looking at the human being sitting across from you and trying to understand what it is that their point of view is and how they've come to their decision and their belief system and about all of these things that we've talked about today, right? Then it just becomes an object, right? It's no longer me and you Kate and Dean having a conversation about how we feel about a particular topic right now. It's me versus you.
Right.
And when I can like eliminate the humanity out of you, it makes it a lot easier to just like rail and find our division. But the more I can see you as just like me, a living, breathing person that has a complex life and has loved ones and has fear and hope and joy and sorrow and all of the things, then we can find a solution, right? Instead of looking at that person. I love that you brought that in, right? Like it just gets right into the heart of it. Like looking at people as the problem instead of, hey, we've got a problem. We've got a problem globally. We've got a problem here in the States, right? Our problem is we've got a virus that's got after us, right? It's not whether or not you want to wear a mask or not. We've got this virus. You're not the issue. I'm not the issue. Everyone else isn't the issue.
The problem is the problem.
The problem is the problem.
How do we solve the problem?
Exactly. But we get so caught up in like this war of words of the nuances in it instead of actually looking to seek to understand and find a solution to it.
Right.
And it increases our fear and it increases our anxiety. And we start to be afraid of all the people that we really just need to sit down and have a conversation and figure it out.
Right.
Whew.
That was something.
This is a heated topic around here right now.
I got to tell you, that one, I felt the heat on that. You were passionate.
Windows, dude.
It was passionate. It's the heat from outside. I don't think so. She's spitting fire.
Well,
today.
Here's where it comes from. To be completely honest with you, I've had so many conversations with one of my favorite people in the whole world. And I've often said to them, like, I feel like I could sit down and have lunch with literally any human on the planet and I can fall in love with them. I can. And not in like a romantic, I want to marry you sort of way. I see your heart and I see you as a person and I love you. And I respect your journey, right? Regardless of their race, gender, sexual identification, where they live on this planet, how much money they make, how evil or terrible they are, or how good they are, right? How saintly they are. It doesn't matter. If I sat down to lunch with them, I could find something to love about them. That's a little me in it too, but I feel like we can all be that way instead of, hey, where do you fit on this subject? Where do I cancel you or do I keep you? Where do you land on what side of the line? No. I'm not trying to keep, like, that's the issue, right? We keep trying to cancel things.
Right.
So back to we're coming here.
Wow. Yeah, you went today. This is good. This is good. I love it. And I love your
We got to start our freaking podcast back up.
I know. We got to get back to podcasting. But, there is a reality here that when we dehumanize other people, when we make things very simple, where we make things very cut and dry, where we can just eliminate people because, we don't like their views or we don't like who they are or they scare us, et cetera, et cetera. That's where we start to get into problems, is when we start taking the humanity out of human. And nobody in this world has that right to make a decision whether you're human enough to deserve to be breathing. Nobody has that right to make that decision. Because the minute they make that decision about you, they're making that decision about them too. And they don't want that coin being flipped. They don't want that script being flipped on them. So the reality is we've got to learn to listen to each other. We've got to learn to look for solutions rather than looking to find the divisiveness and listen to the divisiveness. So again, looping back around as we kind of are getting close on time, it's really about listening. It's really about listening, seek first to understand, then to be understood. We've got to get to a point where we're listening to one another. We're listening to the things that are being said so that we start to really move each other forward. And if we can start, I can't do anything about what's going on in Washington. I can't. I can, on election days, I have a voice. I can write letters, things like that, etc. But I can do something in my own home. I can do something in my business. Yes. I can do something with the people around me. So let's start with who's in front of you.
Yes.
So my challenge to everybody this week is start with who's in front of you. Stop trying to get caught up in all of what the world's throwing at you and let it upheave you and get you upset and twisted in knots and hating everybody and hating life and hating this world. Stop the madness. Just start with who's in front of you right now. listen, seek to understand. Where are they coming from? Why are they saying the things they're saying? See the humanity. See the problem as the problem, not the person as the problem. And as we start to get to that space, let's start to move that ripple outwards. Because if I can impact the people around me, and they impact the people around them, and they impact the people around them, who knows what we can accomplish. But let's not get too far out of our reach.
Yes.
Stay within your space so that you feel like you have some level of control. And then the fear starts to dissipate.
Yep. Bring it right back to the moment that you're in, to the person that's in front of you. And I love that you brought in that listen. Listen. And I'm just going to add also, not only listen to the person in front of you, but listen to your discernment.
Right.
Quiet your mind and your heart enough to be able to hear the guidance that's coming in for you. So you can be able to discern all of the things, all of the messaging that you're getting.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, as always, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you chiming in and liking and sharing our videos. Please continue to do so. If you have somebody in your life that needs information or help, you can always go to our YouTube channel, our Facebook pages, or Instagram pages, and really help people find answers in a very simple way.
We love you guys. Have a wonderful week. Work on listening and staying in the moment you're in, and we will see you next Monday Night Live.
Goodbye, everybody.